Welcome to episode 89 of The Endless Stream. I'm Aidan, and this week I am joined by Brian and Kevin. We are three artists, illustrators, filmmakers, and all-round shit-talkers, and each week we take some of the endless stream of content brought to you through Netflix, Hulu, Spotify, YouTube, Amazon, Disney+, wherever you get your content. We take a chunk of it, we watch it, and we talk about it. This is the first of our Christmas season of episodes, so strap into the Christmas season. We're going to talk about the Guardians of the Galaxy Christmas special. We're going to talk about Ryan Reynolds and Will Ferrell's Christmas Carol take, The Spirited. It's a musical adventure that I thoroughly enjoyed. I know that Kevin will be anxious to watch the new Netflix Christmas Carol adaptation because it has his old friend Luke Evans in it, but we didn't get a chance to look at it this week. We also looked at Batman Mask of the Phantasm, and we had a trailer drop for Indiana Jones and the new Guardians of the Galaxy feature. There was also an Ant-Man thing, wasn't there? So there was loads on this week. If you like what you hear, please consider subscribing to the podcast. You can do that over on iTunes, you can do it on Spotify, or whatever podcast app you're using, because we are available all the way around. I think we're even on YouTube. I think this thing automates to YouTube. I should know that, shouldn't I? Head over to YouTube and give us a listen. On top of that, you can head over to Instagram at The Endless Cast, where we put up art and clips to go with each episode. And that's a great place to send us a comment, send us a direct message, tell us you agree with us, tell us you disagree with us, suggest something for us to watch. You can also send us an email at theendlesscast@gmail.com. All that being said, grab yourself a cup of hot cocoa and a mince pie and let's get into the Christmas episode. We could probably start this quasi-chronologically. So let's jump back to, 2014? Kevin, you finished Community.
Yes, I did.
When did that series end? What year was that?
So if it start, I think did it start in 2009 or something? Then went for 6 seasons. So it's 2015.
Yeah, but you got to allow for some weird years. Give me just a moment. Ended 2015.
Ended 2015. Okay.
So
yes,
we're jumping in the Wayback Machine, as it were.
So back in the Wayback Machine. So first 3 seasons of Community, great.
Mm-hmm.
I will put season 4 in with the first 3 because it felt like the same. But season 5 and season 6 to me felt very different. And season 6 is stronger than season 5. Season 5 is very weak. And season 6 has some good episodes in it.
Well, hashtag and a movie. It's coming.
Yeah, which I'm looking forward to. But I hope everybody comes back for it. Even Chevy. No, he's dead. Damn it.
No, Chevy won't be near it.
See, I don't know any of the controversy or nonsense, to be honest. But I know he's problematic. He was problematic on the set.
I even found his character quite annoying, though.
Yes, Emer hated him.
Like, I don't think he added the kind of drama that warranted his repeated inclusion. He was just fucking annoying.
Yeah.
He was definitely playing a type, and he was there to be that character, and I think that bristled with him as well. Like
I think what bristled with him is that
he wasn't a star.
He's famous for his physical comedy and stuff like that, and he just kept insisting on what Pierce should be, kind of playing to his strengths rather than kind of whatever the story's calling for.
Mm. Yeah, it's one of those things where I'm kind of like basically, to put it this way, it's like I see Chevy Chase may as well just be a character at this stage, in a sense of like, it's like I like to see him because I remember all the old movies fondly, but the kind of the actual reality of him is no bueno. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, he went from being the
America's.
I think he probably doesn't understand why, and I know that this person has since had some problems, but I know that he probably doesn't quite understand why he's not held in the same regard as a Bill Murray. Why is he not this sort of icon figure?
Or Steve Martin,
because he was this big powerhouse comedy actor through the 70s and the 80s, and by the time he gets to Community, he's playing a very close to the bone kind of washed up boomer stereotype, and at a certain point he can't help but feel, and I don't think Harmon that subtle enough that he would hide the fact that like he's being pretty blatantly
ageist.
You know, I wouldn't be surprised if there's things in it that Pierce says that Chevy literally said. Do you know what I mean? That sort of stuff. But I think there's good stuff in season 5 and 6 of Community.
It just feels like a different show though. Like just aesthetically.
Yeah, it does change.
It's quite different, yeah.
What's the name of the...
But I would say including season 4 though.
We see, yeah, maybe
quite different.
To be honest, maybe season 4 just doesn't feel as different because it had Troy and
it had everybody,
Shirley, and you know,
it had everybody, and it was still the same setup in terms of like we're a study group.
Yeah.
Season 5, they had to like shift everybody into new roles.
Yeah, season 5 just starts getting weird though. Like as in like you're watching an episode and it's just like, is this a bit? Like this is shot so strangely, and then you realize it's not a bit. It's just. You kind of forget that it's so strange and you just
any specific example kind of coming to mind?
There's an episode,
a specific moment.
I think there's an episode. I want to say maybe it's the episode with Michael McDowd. Is that his name, Malcolm McDowd? Or what's
Malcolm McDowell?
McDowell. I did a tattoo of him during the week actually. Clockwork Orange piece. But yeah, I think it's an episode when they kidnap him and put him in and keep him in their house or something.
Yeah,
but I don't know, one of the episodes around there or something, it's like me and Emer are both like, this is shot so weird, the camera movements, the camera quality, not that the quality was bad, it's just aesthetically different than this show. And yeah, it just had a completely different feeling. But I thought it was like they were doing like you know the way like they do like an SVU episode. I thought they were doing an Office episode or some sort of bit episode, but no. It was so strange.
I'd go watch the movie they based that on and see if there's similar camera moves.
What was the movie they based? So it is a homage to something, is it?
It is a takeoff of like there's a movie. Is it like Dinner with Friends or Dying to Eat? Like there's some. There is a film where they like.
It is a plot to
I've seen Dinner with
They
Friends.
invite a guy to dinner and they decide whether or not to kill him based on how they interact with. Like there's a couple of versions.
Is that well, there's a Ron Perlman one, isn't there? That's like the Last Supper or something like that with the Ron Perlman.
That's it's that sort of thing.
Yeah, which I quite enjoyed. Actually,
in my mind, there's at least 2 films with a kind of a similar plot.
Yeah,
within 5 years of each other, maybe.
So you reckon it might have been a bit, anyways?
I can't remember either of them.
Yeah. Actually, I did want to say, and I've been meaning.
Jay Moore's in it. I think I'm now pretty sure. Jay Moore's in it. I can picture him tying the guy to the chair all of a sudden. I'm now going to Google Jay Moore movies. There can't be more than 5 of those. He's another guy who just like burned every bridge in front of him, being a dick.
Who?
Jay Moore. Yeah.
I don't know him unless.
Looks like Scott Caan, kind of.
Yeah, you'd know him to see him.
He's Jerry Maguire's rival in Jerry Maguire. And he had a show that was very like Entourage, pre-Entourage, where Action. Yeah, he was a.
What was that show called?
Action. It was very, very much like Entourage, but
pre-Entourage. Yeah, Keanu Reeves cameo in the pilot. It was very actor cameo-y, and it was very funny. I remember thinking it was very comedy.
I remember watching it and liking it, but I honestly couldn't remember a single plot point about it. I imagine it's aged poorly, but
I would be 100% with you there. I don't want to watch it again and find out just how bad it is.
I liked season 1 of Entourage. You know, I mean, that's aged pretty badly. I just kind of liked all the inside baseball stuff though, and in those shows, you know, because it's like I get that reference.
Oh yes, I know Jay Moore. Yeah, very like kind of. He was in a few things, but it's like basically there's something unlikable about him, even though I wanted to see him in more stuff.
He was good at playing a dickhead.
Yes, yeah, basically.
Suicide Kings. A group of youngsters kidnap a respected mafia figure.
Yeah, he was.
They've got him tied to a chair.
Yeah. But I did like Jay Moore in a few stuff for sure.
Christopher Walken is the Malcolm McDowell character.
I was gonna
Suicide Kings.
There's a one with Ron Perlman. I think we talked about it on the podcast before, to be honest. Where they'd have guests over for dinner, and then they decide whether or not they were good people or bad people, and they would choose different decanters of wine depending on their decision. And one would be poisoned. And Ron Perlman was in it, and it's a very, very good movie. I watched it when I was very young, but I loved it. But speaking of movies, I watched when
There's
I was young.
an
Sorry.
episode. There's one gag in that, like, I think maybe it's season 5 of Community, because Paget Brewster had shown up in season 3 maybe as the IT lady, and there's just a scene. It's one of those, oh, I get that, where you just have to remember what the fuck happened or the role that she did previously. But she's playing Frankie, who's trying to be the IT person. Because I can't get phone calls, I can't get emails. I use my personal phone. I try and call IT, and all I hear is static. You know, like, it's just this. Like, I think they even play it as something. There's sort of like this, just sort of kind of gates of hell, other dimension noise that comes out the fucking phone when she calls herself from the past. You know?
Hilarious.
So I do think there's good stuff in season 5 and 6.
Yeah, I like some of the new
It definitely
characters.
is, but it feels very different. I think the chemistry was very, very different in the show, and I think that was always the strongest thing was kind of how you could jump to one pairing or another, and whatever the plot was, it was more how these people are going to react.
You couldn't get comfortable. You couldn't get comfortable with your friends watching the people you liked, because so many of these new episodes were about new people encountering the oddness of the group. You know, it was the Elroy Patashnik. Was that his name? Was he the VR guy, or was he the?
Yep.
It's like him dealing with Abed for the first time, or like getting to grips with Jeff. Or
I do think Abbott's character kind of became like. I think initially I perceived him as like
he's a writer. He's a writer stand-in, and it's shameless, and it's kind of cringy sometimes how much the show takes his side when he's very much a stand-in for Harmon, especially when he's above reproach on so many things, or when people are just so quick to agree with anything he says.
Agree with Abed, or
yeah.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, he's so inspired. He's got so much wisdom, and he's so clever.
I
and it's like,
but I like it, but like I was listening to the podcasts around the time that was airing as well, and like then season 5 would start, and there's this whole episode where Abed just goes through, like going, crossing the threshold, a call to action, a road of trials, and it's just calling out stuff that like I know Harmon just goes on and on and on about. And even before I came up here, I watched one of the newer episodes of Rick and Morty while I was having breakfast, and it was this like they found a rift in the fourth wall and went to the meta dimension, and they were literally walking past like a road that had a sign that said trials, and again it's just calling out these story points, and like Joseph Campbell shows up at one point, and like it is funny, but there's also an element in my head of like, wow, he is really making hay, or at least his writing department, of the same knowing kind of structural acknowledgements over and over and over again, like I'm not telling I suppose he is, but it's just I see the stuff where he's calling out story structure is the stuff I see, sorry, Kevin, you were about to say.
I have no idea.
that was ages ago.
But you were about to say something you watched, or when you were younger you saw, or a thing from your youth, or
I have no idea. But I will say, what do you call him? Jesus, his name escapes me now, but I know it's William Hank, I think it's his surname. But he was in a TV show I used to love called Going to California, and he passed away. Brad William Hank, isn't it? Or
It's
Brad Williams.
Henke. So I'm not sure how he pronounces it.
Yeah.
He was in Lost, and he was in season 2 of Justified, and he was in Orange is the New Black, I think. He was in lots of stuff. He was great.
He was in
He's
Choke,
56.
I think. Yeah, no, very sad. And I don't know if anybody has seen Going to California. I can't find it, nor have I ever been able to find it on any website ever, be it torrent, streaming, whatever. I've never.
You've
ever,
even talked
Which
about
you
it on
wouldn't
this
use.
podcast, and the episode went missing.
Oh my god!
It's crazy.
But yeah, he was.
the sound of static.
It was a show about two friends kind of basically going to California, as odd as, or as basic as the premise of that is. But one of my favorite shows of all time, and I've never been able to see it again. I think it ran for just one season. It was a really weird, quirky show, sometimes meta, but it was brilliant.
I was walking past CEX and I bought this thing because I'm very bad at PC games. So it's like a Razer Tartarus edition little keyboard, and it's got a little joysticky here, so that I can put my WASD commands there and just play shooty games with a stick rather than having to do WASD, because I just can't get the fucking hang of that. You know, I was just never a PC guy, and sitting up trying to do that, my hands cramping the entire time, and just like the mouse is kind of cool for aiming, but I can't make the rest of the fucking keyboard work for me. So I saw this thing existing kind of like the start of the pandemic, and it was like 130, 200 euro depending on where you were getting them. I was like, I'm not going to take a chance on that and find out it's crap and I'm no interest in it for that much. But I was walking past CEX and I saw it in the window for 50 quid. I was like, well, that's more where I'd be willing to take a fucking swing at it and see if it's any good. It is fun. It's still like...
when did you get it?
I bought it there on Thursday. Why?
No, I'm just wondering how much use you've gotten out of it yet.
I bought it there on Thursday. I played around with it a bit yesterday. I'm going to put a chunk of time into it today, because immediately movement is much easier. I'm still in a situation where like I've got to like mind map my fingers now into like, this button is run, this button's grenade, this button's jump, you know, that I've got to sort of work the other four fingers a little bit, but it's taken a very key element and made it a little bit easier. So I'm going to play with that for a little bit. And as I have it as well, when I use this screen as a Cintiq, draw it down, I don't have to put a keyboard on my lap and whatever now. So I've just like mapped all my Photoshop commands onto it as well, which is kind of handy. Like scale it, like brush size and zoom and all that stuff.
I keep getting ads for one to use. They're advertising it specifically with Procreate.
Right.
It's a little shortcut keyboard.
A little
thing.
Joy-Con thing.
I don't even like. I've never stayed on the ad long enough, but it just looks like a little mini keyboard for kind of mapping shortcuts too. I don't even know if it's got a little thumbstick or anything like that. But,
yeah.
It looks nice.
Yeah, I've seen versions of it and people that work like kind of professionally with the iPad. It makes sense. I mean, I still call myself with the iPad kind of in a hobbyist vein. You know what I mean? Like I'm not making money out of it, or it's not used for my job. But people that draw, like illustrate for magazines and comics and things like that, it's their workflow. Then I guess it makes more sense. As much as anything, though, I tell you that story to say I walked in to CEX on Liffey Street. I think it's Liffey Street, and I just went, "Hey, I'm interested in the Razer Tartarus you got in the window, the hand jobby." I didn't say hand jobby, but the hand like the controller thing, the additional keyboard. And the guy I was talking to kind of went, "Yeah," and then a guy in back went, "Can I ask why?" And I was, "Sorry," and the amount of ridicule I got.
Not the nerd.
I was like, because I'm not good at mouse and keyboard. He went, "Get better." I'm like, "All right, buddy. Do I get a sort of shame discount or something here?" Like it was a laugh, and like I was giving them shtick and they were giving me shtick, but it was like, okay, all right, Jesus, you know.
Fucking nerds, man. Hate nerds.
Huh?
I hate nerds.
It didn't occur to me at the time to go, because I can map Photoshop to it as well, and at the very least that's useful. But
you don't have to justify why you're buying it to anybody.
All right.
No, you can't ask why.
Yeah. I definitely did. I thought of every nerd stereotype when they started that shit. I mean, there was 3 of them behind the counter, and like, again, it was one of them was very fucking friendly and polite and whatever and fun about it, you know. And the other guy was, I think I just engaged at the right level of it. I could have got very confrontational. So I'm telling you, it was fun. I was willing to take the piss out of myself for the fact that, like,
I want him fired.
I could probably
I'd be
just
like,
get you one fired.
They asked me why am I buying
gone.
a weird robot controller thing. I'd probably tell them to find your father's G-spot. They expect mother, but go for father. Fuck him.
Oh,
Right,
father.
right.
Yeah, fuck off.
Yeah.
Your mother's too easy. I need a controller for your dad.
Yeah. Because I need it. Yeah. Anyway, that's my silly story about a controller. So I'm going to try and play a chunk of Warzone 2 this afternoon with it and get a little bit better at it. I did play a little bit yesterday, and like it's a game of like trying to just like moving in the world and then going, oh, I need to do this thing, and then I have to open a fucking piece of software and find the right keybind and map it to the, because I'm trying to find all the controls I need. There's however many spread across the keyboard, and now I need to do, oh, that's F, is it? Okay, well, I need F, and I use it a lot, so that should probably be under this finger. And then I'm trying to map it to the button. So it's a lot of experimentation, but I was just stood in a room facing a corner, which is not good, and somebody came in and started shooting me. And I should have just been dead, but I just moved left, turned around and shot him in the head, and he went down. I was like, that doesn't make sense. That guy must have been fucking terrible to not have just killed me. Like I then just saw like a name on the left going, has left the game. And it's like, okay. I watched a bunch of Christmas stuff this week. Did you watch the Guardian special, or are you just not going to watch it?
I'm not going to watch
Just
it.
not going to watch it.
Why watch it?
It's fun.
Yeah,
Bit of fun.
That's not.
It's a bit of fun.
That's not.
Bit of fun.
It's awkward, cringy James Gunn idea of fun.
Yeah.
I don't need that.
Did you enjoy the Guardians special, Kev?
Incredibly corny, super, super like cheesy and awful. But yes,
Yeah, I did too.
yeah,
I
I really enjoyed it.
I was a little like, there was a moment towards the end of it where I thought there is a chance that they're going to have Kevin Bacon do like a Footloose dance scene, because James Gunn loves having a dance number in his stuff. I think he has said that he's more or less had dancing in pretty much everything he's done. But when it was like, trying to make Quill's Christmas by bringing Kevin Bacon along, there was a moment where it's like, oh God, there is a chance they could just do Footloose and the internet will lose its mind. And they didn't. They had Kevin Bacon sing a delightful song. But what did you make of the music? There was a lot of music in it, Kevin. I know Brian didn't watch it.
Yeah, the music's good, and I really like Kevin Bacon's song.
You did.
Yeah.
It was very, very sweet.
Yes, it could be a new Christmas classic. I know that's probably a wild thing to say because people don't like new classics, but it was a nice song. I really liked it.
I've seen a bunch of internet nerds singing the one from the start. What's the name of, like, I know they feature the name of the group, but the ho 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 ho, Earthlings are so weird.
Oh,
that
the
thing is going around.
75s or something they're called, the 1975 or something like that, isn't it?
Mm.
Yeah, with the guys who were all in the costumes. So that was actually good. That was a fun song as well. Like bits are good for
And
sure.
it was a fun way to open the show as well.
Yeah, bits are good. The way the guy has Yondu's quill, I would say, or pen,
Finn.
or whatever you want to say it. Finn.
Arrow.
His the thing on his head for controlling it is disgusting looking.
It's ropey, isn't it?
Yeah.
I'm sure we've seen him. Maybe it's in Thor: Love and Thunder. We see that fin on his head, but it really did look like somebody got like fucking
Putty,
mala,
yeah.
and like just hummed it around the fucking edge of his head. It looked horrible.
Yeah, it's like just make it seamless. Like, don't make it look gross. If you're going to do it, just make it look seamless.
But even if you're going to make it look gross, make it look like flesh sort of healing over the thing rather than putty.
Yeah,
it really did look like
it looked just as how would you say, as sequenced as putting the thumb. You know what I mean? Like, it really looked like like look at pie crust.
Yeah.
Pie crust.
You've gone from disgusted to hungry based on the top of Draglin's head.
Yes.
Yeah.
But yeah, I liked it. It's silly. It's fun. Like, I have to start watching. I'm going to try and watch it at least. I did it before. Emer and I did it before. We watched a Christmas movie every day in the run up to Christmas. That was intense. We're just trying to try and watch a Christmas movie every week, maybe one or two.
Right. They then released the trailer for Guardians 3.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that there's too much to say about that.
No,
They've got them in the uniforms from the comics. I guess they're actually filling some sort of official role or something.
The logo on their
I
chest
saw
is like
somebody saying.
it's like the logo they have on their chest.
Mm-hmm.
It's like the Nova Corps logo combined with the Ravagers crest. So
Yeah.
it's like one laid over the other. So
I saw Stallone's name in the credits, or in the stuff flashing up. I got to check what that was. Maybe I misread it. I thought I saw Stallone's name.
Well, he was in the last one, so he could be in this one.
Yeah, I think to what degree he features. Like, he was supposed to be Yondu's buddy, right? Actually, the Guardians Christmas special had this whole animated chunk, kind of beginning and end of it, and I wasn't sure how to describe it, but somebody pointed it out that it's Ralph Bakshi style kind of rotoscoping.
I hated it.
I hated the Ralph Bakshi stuff. That sounds... I didn't hate the Ralph Bakshi stuff. I always just put that into a category of shit they did in the 70s and 80s and was fine and interesting then. I was like, I don't need to see any more stuff that looks this weird. Mm-hmm. It's a combination of like under-animated and over-animated because it's rotoscope.
Mm-hmm.
And just doesn't look good. So that's just like a flashback to Quill's youth and Yondu being a bad parent. And it's just that floaty because there's a coat swinging the whole time, and I don't like it. They have money, they could do better.
But yeah, though I think they were just trying to. Well, they're not trying to just like homage the Star Wars Christmas special. I think.
Oh, there's a lot of that.
Yeah.
Was there Bakshi style animation in the Star Wars Life Day Christmas special?
There definitely was animated. Sure, Boba Fett was originally animated.
Oh yeah,
but I don't know if that was
You're
like.
right.
But I just think that's what they were trying to do. Is like that weird. It didn't look
Yeah,
nice.
I
It didn't
see
look
it.
nice back then, but.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Disney's merch game is like apparently you can buy Life Day merchandise from that Star Wars holiday special now. And I saw somewhere you can buy remember the 90s Spider-Man, that sort of like kind of like rugby jersey thing that Peter Parker wore, that sort of like white
that's
teal
so
and
funny.
blue thing.
Yeah.
You can buy that shirt now, but it's got a little Spider-Man logo in the
I mean, that doesn't bother me at all. Fools on their gold. If people want to buy that shit, let them buy it. It can make them happy. But that is hilarious that they brought out a shirt based on a 90s Peter Parker. That is hilarious. But it's also great.
What size shirt would that be for you, Kevin?
Extra large?
Extra large or extra large?
No, large or extra large. I'd wear that for. I'd shave my beard and cut my hair.
I'm buying you the Mary Jane yellow polo neck that she wears the whole time.
It was what's a yellow polo neck?
Wasn't it?
Maybe it was. I thought it was pink with a yellow collar or something like that. I don't know. Maybe I'm thinking something else.
I don't think it was a polo neck. I think it was like
Big Gansy
V-neck?
a sweater and a shirt. Yeah,
Yeah,
I think it was yellow and purple in it.
yeah, something like that, Brian. Yeah, but that's hilarious that they brought out that top.
You're right. It is a yellow jumper and then like a purple polo neck under it.
I'm not looking forward to any Marvel stuff coming out.
You're
I'm
oversaturated, Brian.
Yeah, just not excited. It's not even oversaturation. I think they've just rushed a bunch of stuff, and they're not building anything. And I'm just like, I really don't think it's oversaturation. I think I think maybe it has become oversaturated, but that isn't my issue. My issue is that they're rushing stuff. I'm just not hyped for anything coming out. That's not to say I won't go see stuff, but
I know,
I'm just
yeah.
kind of-
You're disillusioned at this stage. It's quality over quantity, or it's quantity over quality, isn't it? To a degree.
Yeah.
I am worried that they do just pump like I remember like it used to be like one movie every 2 to 3 years, and now it's like 3 movies every year. You know, and it's like it's too much. You know, quality over quantity for sure.
Yeah, but like they used to be like an interconnectedness, and you know, it was building to something. Whereas now, I'm just not sure what it's kind of. You know, like there was. I guess it is kind of still building towards
Something.
Kang in some ways, but we've no idea
in what magnitude.
I mean, you know, Loki and Multiverse of Madness and What If could have all been from separate franchises, you know, in the extent that they didn't really have any bearing on each other. WandaVision could not have happened. We could have just picked up with Multiverse of Madness. Like the way it kind of just brushes over the events of that. It's just not kind of building towards stuff. I'm just not.
Yeah,
excited
I'm
about
still
stuff.
kind of, I guess, keeping a little bit of faith with it, because I guess my theory is in terms of like the way that Disney seems to have or has had a sense of a real long-term plan. Captain America, Thor, Iron Man, I feel like there is a sort of built-in awareness of these characters to a degree. And it feels like this whole phase is about just like, maybe I'm full of shit, but like, let's just let everybody get a chance to know these people. There's a whole lot of change happening. And then now we'll start to, I'm hoping it's going to like, and now we're starting to build forward. That we took a big introduction pause to let a couple of years pass and the audience get used to a whole bunch of new characters. And now as we start to build towards something, when these people start interacting with one another, you'll be happy to see this person you like from this show pop up, or this person. But I don't know, maybe that's giving them too much credit. Or, I don't know. What am I doing?
I'm just trying to think of like what's coming up in the next couple of years.
I'm looking forward
that
to
I'm
Ant-Man.
excited.
I'm looking forward to Blade, whenever that comes out.
Yeah, I guess the thing is, like, we're looking forward to these things, but it's no longer this
I think it
sense
might
that
be
we're
a
on
good
big
idea
journey that builds to it.
to almost do like a hard reset with Secret Wars. Just end it all and then do X-Men.
Yep. They have to... Yep, basically they've done the Avengers, now move on.
Yeah.
Yeah, Avengers should have ended after Endgame or any of those things, and then they
the
should have
like,
launched.
That's not to say we'll never see that stuff again, but when we do see them again, it'll probably be recast and stuff like that, because I don't see them being able to bring back Evans and Downey for anything other than a kind of a glorified cameo, you know? So bring them back, Secret Wars, end everything, and then X-Men. Start it from scratch. They can introduce Avengers stuff again, but it'll be a new cast then maybe. I think it's time to kind of shed it.
I think you're right.
Because,
I think you're right.
Yeah.
And maybe they should treat... like, obviously there's crossover in the comics and all that kind of stuff, but normally when there's crossovers, it's like a big event thing. But maybe they should treat it as like the way they do in the comics, like as in like just a separate line of in a different franchise. Like you have the X-Men universe, you have the Avengers world, you have the Fantastic Four, you know, as in like just branch away from Avengers and do X-Men. I think you're 100% right.
you see, I still wouldn't mind the Avengers existing, you know, in that world. But like we're probably, I think the only time we'll see whatever version of X-Men are coming with the Avengers we know and love is probably going to be a send-off in Secret Wars. I don't think we'll see whatever X-Men cast they end up having interacting with, you know, Evans or Downey, like I said, for anything other than more than a glorified cameo. And I think that's okay. But I think we could probably do like 3 X-Men movies, you know, over the course of 10 years, and then bring Avengers back. But they'll be recast, you know? And that's like we're not getting X-Men until, I would say, X-Men is 4 or 5 years away. And by the time we get to a third X-Men film, we're looking at another 6 years. So by the time we see a recast Avengers, it'll be maybe 10 years from now. And I think that's kind of okay. I think maybe end it, you know?
Yeah.
have
Secret Wars be this universe-shattering thing.
End it all.
End it.
Yeah, but like, yeah,
start
all
with the
good things
X-Men
do come
and
to an
then-
end. Yeah, I agree, man. Yeah.
Kev, can you turn the business end of your mic towards you? like the mic itself. You see the way the text is? That's the bit that should be facing front. Thank you. It was facing us there a minute ago.
Nothing I do is good enough. Fucking impossible.
You sound so much better immediately because the mic was facing
The sound is noticeably
like
different.
that way. Yeah.
Go fuck yourselves.
What a lovely voice. Beautiful.
But I kind of do want to go and fuck myself based on how that delightful that timbre was.
Yeah, I hope we see X-Men, but yeah, they need to just, I think, as you said, Brian, just start wrapping up stuff. It's just, if anything, just to preserve the legacy. I know I hate saying stuff like that, but you know what I mean.
That's as easy a jump as any in terms of preserving legacies. Indiana Jones 5 had a trailer. That man's 80. Do we have any hope for this? Did you watch the trailer, Brian?
Yeah.
Yeah? I think Kev missed it. Right?
I missed the Indiana Jones one. Yeah.
It's a good trailer. That line at the end
It
is
is.
bullshit. That trailer line.
Which was the line?
It's something as nonsense as I believe it doesn't matter what you believe in, but it's how hard or how much you believe in it. It's like, that's nonsense. Yeah. Like that.
I don't believe in magic, but once or twice in my life I've seen some things that make me think.
To the extent that I was like, I was trying to unwrap it. I was like, what does that mean? It's not what you believe, it's how hard you. I was like, what? But then it does matter what you believe, because how hard are you believing in the, like, I don't know, just it might seem like a nitpick, but I think it could point to the tone and the plot of something, you know. And it's just, I don't know. I'm hoping it's better than that. But
a few years back, when the X-Files jumped back onto Netflix, I went, well, I've never watched the X-Files. Let's watch some of this. The famously skeptical Scully, who Dana Scully, isn't it? Who's like, will never believe that anything supernatural exists. And I was episode 2. That woman had seen Bigfoot and aliens, and I'm like, how is she going to be skeptical going forward? By episode 2, she was literally like under a UFO. Like, the fuck? Indiana Jones has seen the Ark of the Covenant wreak God's wrath upon the Nazis. He's seen the stones in India just come to life and like pull the human heart through a chest without the the third one, he meets a knight of the crusade kept alive by the cup of Christ. Then he met aliens. What? And then also young Indiana Jones. That's like 30 episodes of supernatural chaos in there as well.
Is that canon?
Plus we know there's... It is.
Yep.
That's supposed to be canon. Harrison Ford's in one or two of those, you know?
Oh, I know, but I mean, like, yeah.
It is. It is supposed to be canon. Unless they have since come out and said it isn't.
That's a real blast in the past, young Indiana Jones, yeah.
Yeah, I loved that show.
It was a good show.
And it was in that vein of like the Poirot stuff we were talking about as well, where like they're episodes, but the episodes are like 90 minutes, you know? So they would show this on a Sunday on UTV, and they could take a commercial every 10 minutes, so it took up 4 hours of broadcast time, and your whole afternoon was gone. In a good way. Cup of tea on a Saturday or a Sunday. But like, that man has seen some of the most supernatural shit that could possibly happen. What does he mean he doesn't believe in magic?
He doesn't have to validate his beliefs to you, though, to be fair.
Well, actually, there is an element of what he wouldn't be Boomer, though, would he? He'd be Greatest Generation. I was about to say like the sort of the stubbornness of that era of people that refuse to believe fact-based things.
It's a good trailer.
Trailer looks fun.
I don't like. There's one or two shots in it, and it kind of reminds me of. I can't think of a specific film, but they're like dense crowd scenes that are very, very clearly just sound stages, and they don't look bad, but there's a look to them, and I just wish. I don't mind special effects. Like I even particularly don't like when people, like a lot of times people complain about something and say it's like too CGI heavy. And it's like, yeah, but the quality is kind of good, or you know, you're kind of dismissing that part. But there's two shots in it, and they just it looks like Sky Captain kind of stuff. The quality's better, the standard's better, but
yeah,
just I like to kind of.
Yeah.
There's a lot to be said
I
for
wonder how much it's
location
graded
and
stuff as
crowds,
well,
you know?
because I thought this. I'm gonna talk about Spirited as well, which I watched this week. But we saw, like, some of the earliest footage we saw, or behind the scenes images we saw for this Indiana Jones movie, were Harrison Ford on a horse in the middle of like Edinburgh or Scotland somewhere. Like they were shooting it in the UK for Times Square, and that when I see him riding that horse through that crowd of that parade in that trailer, or whoever the stuntman is that they face replaced, like, it looks really CG. But I know they shot that. I know that we're on location. You know,
But they've replaced a lot. Is the thing?
Yeah.
You know, they've shot on location and then they replaced it, but like it just looks. I don't know. It just pulls me out every time. It just.
Like there's a shot in Spirited where Will Ferrell and Ryan Reynolds are doing a dance down a Victorian alleyway, and the first I heard of this movie coming out was somebody Instagram story going, when Ryan Reynolds and Will Ferrell are shooting a movie outside your office, and you would swear they've got 10 feet by 10 feet in a soundstage, but it's like I saw the footage.
I know
on the
exactly
street.
what you're talking about. It looks really staged, but it's an actual street.
Yeah.
But even that,
I
like
guess
they've shot on location, but then they've replaced a lot with with.
And they've had to like narrow the focus of the shot to just what they've got dressed to look like the Victorian London.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so I guess it brings it in a wee bit, but I'm excited for more Indiana Jones, and the de-aging stuff looks well.
Yep.
Like it's getting better and better.
I'd go so far as to say, like, I imagine he's de-aged even in scenes that aren't set in whenever, or is it time travel? I don't know, but he looks very well for an 80-year-old man.
Yeah, well, I mean, it at the latest it looks like it's in the 70s, right?
I would have thought kind of 60s, but 60s or 70s. I mean, there isn't a clear.
Yeah, because it was the 1960s when it was Shia LaBeouf's stuff, right? With the UFOs.
That was the 50s,
was
wasn't
that
it?
the 50s?
That was 50s,
Was
yeah.
it the 50s?
He was kind of a greaser or something, was he?
Yeah, because they dropped the bomb.
Kind of, yeah. Yeah, it was 50s.
And Last Crusade is late 30s? Going into World War II. It is 30s, it's not 40s. So it's like 39 or something.
Right.
It might be 37 because the war hasn't started yet. They're still getting on Zeppelins and shit. So we're saying 39, 49, 59, 69. So if he's 30, I'm just guessing if he's 30 in Last Crusade, he's got to be older than that though. Add 30 years to get him to 1969. He's supposed to be 60. So they've got to knock 20 years off him for just the walking around scenes. And even if he's 40 in...
Well, the thing is, I mean,
Crusade,
like, even on, I think on World War Z, like, they have... There's a lot of effect, like, even before the kind of de-aging thing, for the sake of, like, you know, time jumps backwards or forwards. You know, somebody's job to kind of tighten up Brad Pitt's double chin in certain shots, you know? Stuff that you wouldn't think.
I do know somebody who works in one of the places in Ireland that had done a lot of that stuff for the event or for the Marvel movies, the de-aging scenes. Particularly it was Captain Marvel, they were saying, but they did have trouble at one stage with one of the movies. An actor just like that necessarily didn't need to be de-aged by any means, but just wanted post alterations to their face, and just kept on wanting more and more and more, and the director just kept on leaning into it apparently, and it just caused massive frustrations. But they were just like they weren't being de-aged for the story purposes. They just wanted it for themselves.
They just want to look better, yeah. It's happening with a lot of actors, you know.
Yeah.
And like when was World War Z? That was like fucking, was that 10 years ago or something, you know.
Well, I would
Longer.
I
I
know
feel like longer.
I would rather not do anything like that, because in 10 years, 15 years time, like you could watch that and be like, that looks something off with his face or something. You know what I mean? Like obviously it's done very subtly and only in like the smallest of scenes and shots and stuff. But it's just leave it. Jesus Christ, it's not good for you. Embrace that shit. It's there, you know.
I think it's always gone on with whatever they can get away with, whatever they can manage. You know, like even I kind of do that stuff instinctually as well. Like I think like
You de-age yourself in photos. I knew it.
I
fucking
de-age
knew
myself
it.
in photos.
That skin can't be real.
No, like when people send me profile photos or like headshots for like the comedy show stuff, and I have to like crop out the background and stuff, and I'll definitely like if there's something glaring, I'm just like let's pull the color up a little bit and tighten up. Like there's a scratch on the image, or they had a cut that day. I just kind of take it off. You know what I mean? Like it's so easy to do. So I think it's polite to give somebody a little polish.
Black and white. I don't really care. I wouldn't want people like I don't care about editing my photographs and stuff. But if like even in work when they post videos and stuff, I rather it be black and white. It's just more flattering. Makes me look less fat.
It's in his contract.
Yeah.
Can't
I wish.
be filmed unless it's in black and white.
But they don't do it. Don't listen to me.
How was your zine course, Kevin?
I thoroughly enjoyed it. It was pretty much 3-4 hours of getting just a little tutorial on zines and how they're constructed, and a very brief history on zines and stuff. But it was Kate and Kat were the two people facilitating the class, and they were really nice people. They were really helpful. They were really enthusiastic. It was really good fun. I learned a lot. The two people are very knowledgeable about zines, obviously, and all that jazz. And I was kind of like a soft introduction to zines, but I would have loved to learn more. They knew their shit. It would have been great.
Did you
I would have loved to learn the history of it or something.
What did you learn in terms of like technical production methodology? Like, were you hand printing, or were you like setting stuff up in Photoshop to print? Or
so basically, like they just gave us like
layout stuff.
Yeah, basically they gave us a real soft introduction to zines, showed us different examples of zines, different types of like just different approaches people had taken to a basic folded zine. Whether it was like paper, different types of paper, putting like covers on them, whatever, just a whole bunch of different kind of examples of zines. Then talked about zines, and then kind of showed us how to make certain folds and different types of paper folds and all that kind of stuff to make your zines. And then you got to kind of work on them a little bit. We did one exercise where you all had a zine in front of you, and then you draw on the front of it, and you pass it to your left, and the next person would draw on the next page, and so on and so forth. So by the end of it, there was all these there's a bunch of just random little kind of stories told collectively, and they were good fun. Just it was basically just like a really nice like Sunday afternoon soft introduction into zines and that world. And obviously they do decaf. They do comic jams in the shop. Little Deer Comics in Stoneybatter.
That was going to be my next question. Plug who this is.
Yep. So
Little Deer in Stoneybatter.
Yeah, Little Deer in Stoneybatter. They do. I think said on the last Thursday of every month or something. They do comic jams. It's just not happening this month because of Christmas. But I think I'm going to start. Like, what I would like to kind of just get more involved in that kind of stuff. I put together some little zines already. I've gotten good feedback on them, good reactions for them. I knocked up some with tattoo designs and just let them on our coffee table and work, so customers can look through them. They're to be honest, it's one of those things where I can see myself getting very hyper fixated on it for a couple of months. That's kind of what happens for a while. Which means it's just
I know that I think the Cork Zine Fest is on.
I know.
Today.
I really would have loved to have gone. Yeah, I don't see this stuff, catch this stuff in time. Brian, would you go to
I don't know where that is though.
I think I saw a poster for the cafe yesterday or the day before. Actually, yeah.
Cork Zine Fest. If you do go to, let me know, because there's a person exhibiting there that are selling some of their zines, and I would like to buy them. It's only one person, so if you do go down, let me know.
Check out what time it's on now.
Yeah. And I'll
go down and do like an on location report for us. Get some photos.
Don't make him do that.
I'll have to leave now though. So see you later.
Okay,
I'll
Brian.
have to leave now. So.
Makes sense. He's on assignment for the paper. But that's good. I'm glad you
He's
liked.
got a scoop. Yeah, I really enjoyed it. Yeah.
I want to make a little book of all of the artwork we've done for the podcast so far as well. Like I want to we've done a bunch of stuff.
Yeah, I watched Jim Rugg making some zines on the internet last night on YouTube, and that was awesome. I got a good idea for how to set it up and what you need and all that kind of stuff. Really, really cool. If you don't know who Jim Rugg is, you know who Jim Rugg is, right?
But I'm assuming he's a big wig he's a big
cartoon.
Rugg's a big wig in the zine world.
Ed Piskor and cartoon kayfabe.
Oh, I know kayfabe. Yeah,
Yeah. So,
is that the two of them on that?
yeah.
Cartoon kayfabe.
And Jim is super famous though. Jim is like he does all that stuff. What would you call it? Can never remember the name of it. I have them. He's done it for Fantastic Four. He's done it for the Hulk. He's done it for I think the X-Men. But it's like basically, I cannot think of the name of it. But it would be like basically the entire Hulk story told from start to finish. And he does it his own way.
In what form?
It's called like Grand Design or something. Do you know about the Grand Design books? It's done in comics.
No.
Check them out. Grand Design. I'm pretty sure Jim has definitely done the Hulk and maybe Fantastic Four because I have some of them.
Is it like a kind of an encyclopedia?
Yeah, kind of
like summation of their.
Yeah, it's like a comic book encyclopedia type of thing, but done like kind of zany and yeah.
What's the format? Is it like a standard comic format, or is it larger?
No, I think they're standard comic.
smaller?
I have some. I'm pretty sure they're standard comic formats. I have the Fantastic Four one for sure, and I have the Hulk one.
Right.
Like he works in these things for years, you know.
Zine Fest is sold out.
Shit.
That's something you can't just turn up to.
Apparently not. It's on my walking route as well, which is a shame.
Give it a walk past and
Might walk by anyway. Yeah.
just walk in. I can't imagine. I don't know. Maybe I'm just underestimating the.
Yeah, you're underestimating the
I'm
popularity.
underestimating the
of zines.
demand for zines.
Well, you know, it's pretty cool that you're like obviously like I think honest zines are becoming they must be becoming popular again or something because Decaf is a couple of times a year. That's very kind of like alt and zine heavy and stuff. You have Cork Zine Fest. Like I think zines are coming up as a you know they're probably getting a bit of a resurgence at the moment. There must be if I'm into them.
Well, it's yeah. That's what I was going to say. It's you are now aware of a subculture more so than.
To be fair,
in-
I'm more aware of it. To be fair, because I've listened to a podcast called The Gutter Boys, and I'm on like episode 50 something of them, and that's all just indie comics industry talk and zines. So yeah, I've been listening to that for the last like 2 years or a year. Yeah. So yeah.
Yeah,
I've been
especially with everything opening up post
pursuing it,
pandemic
yeah.
and like Decaf opening, like they had I fucking missed the application for the fucking second and third, like because they did a Christmas one unexpectedly, and it's like I want to get my name down again, if only because I bought a load of stock, and it's like I need to start recouping the cost of that.
Yeah, I'm gonna try and have some proper stuff prepared for maybe like at least the next one and exhibit with you, maybe.
Cool.
Yeah, I'm gonna miss this one unfortunately, but yeah.
Well, that's good. I'm glad you enjoyed that, and you know, taking more and more sort of steps towards the printy, comic-y stuff that you like to do.
Yep. Thanks.
Yeah. We went to see Mask of the Phantasm on Wednesday as well, didn't we? Did you? You hadn't seen that in years. I'd kind of forgotten a lot of the I guess the journey of that story. I'm not sure if it was I'd love to know what they played it.
I know, yeah.
To us from, because there were shots in it that were really soft looking, like really out of focus, kind of like janky, and it's like, is this is hardly the 4K Blu-ray DVD or something, right? Like, is this a DVD scan? Is this they don't have the 35mm print of Mask of the Phantasm. Like if I was going by, like when I saw the Hudsucker proxy. That was the first time in ages that I'd seen like a 35mm print, and I'd forgotten how messy that can look. Like it was pretty messy. Like it was so funny because you could see when one reel was about to shift to another, not because there was the little cigarette burn in the top right corner, but because the quality of the picture would go to dog shit. And it was basically, the first 3 feet of this film leader on either side was, the bit that was most exposed to damage. So as you're watching the film, the picture would start to go to shit, and then it would just come back as you got into the middle of the reel, which was a bit better condition. It was kind of funny, a little step back in time, the sort of quirks or the nuances of watching something on 35mm, or the idiosyncrasy is the word I'm looking for. But it was good to see The Mask of the Phantasm. I don't think it quite held up as I remember it in terms of like being like one of the best Batman films.
It was less epic than I remember for sure.
Yeah, it was in a time when there were 2 Tim Burton movies and a couple of Batman Forever and Batman and Robin. Who directed those again?
Schumacher.
I couldn't think of Schumacher. I knew it was Joel something, but I've been saying Joel Silver, and that's not right. In the time of 2 Tim Burton movies that were great, but also, not quite Batman-y, and then those Schumacher ones, which were just all over the shop. Mask of the Phantasm was just, this is a great, like, 30s Art Deco style, Gothic. It was great. But looking at it now, when we've had the Nolans and the Twilight Boy one and your Affleck and all of the animated content that we've had since, like that Dark Knight Returns animated one and everything else, where like it's so crisp, especially being newer animation techniques and 4K scans and all that stuff. Like they're so crisp and sharp looking. And I also think there's an element of like animators in the 1990s not necessarily either trying to research or look at or reaching for sort of more exaggerated physicality in him. Like at one point he just like lands on a rooftop and just falls over in such a flat way. I'm like, I don't think that would have happened if like those guys had been watching a shit ton of Jackie Chan or martial arts movies or parkour videos or gymnastics.
I'd put it down to just time, though.
It's time,
I'm assuming.
It is.
Yeah.
Oh, do you mean time in production?
Yeah.
Or
yeah.
It's time and style as well, but it's just like you watch the stuff that the Warner Animation Studios doing these days, and you can't compare the two things. But people have done. You can't compare the two things in terms of comparing Mask of the Phantasm with like that Black Adam, Superman crossover. Or Captain Marvel. There's a clip that goes around where like they take that animated film and they can side by side it with the movie that they reference the fight from. And it's like, okay, you blatantly just ripped off this fight choreography. That's fine, like whatever, But you can see somebody looking for elaborate choreography, looking for something kind of interesting, whereas in the 90s, with the time, the budget, and the availability
for example,
of reference
if you look at
it's just a big punch.
If you look at the intro to the series, that's very dynamic. There's a lot of that rhythm to it, and I wonder, like, did somebody propose a more elaborate kind of version, and somebody's like, no time for that. Look, that's not working. Scrap it. Something simple.
Yeah.
I'm just guessing.
Yeah, no, you're right. You're right. That's an option too.
I said there's somebody who's shitting on animators all the time, but at the same time,
I think it's just they did the best they could to the level that was going.
I know. A lot of the time, my gripe with stuff is the kind of time and money a project is given, because anybody working on something is probably. I'd imagine they do have those frames of reference and stuff. They're just stuck for time.
Yeah, I know what you're saying, but at the same time, it's like it is harder to fucking. It's harder to reference that stuff in 1990 where you've got to like.
Absolutely.
Would it have been a VHS? And how do you tell the animations, like, how do you tell the in-between studio in Asia that you want something to look like this shot? You know, you'd have to send them the fucking, you know, the bootleg copy of Rumble in the Bronx that you've recorded off the telly, you know what I mean? As opposed to now they just stick a video clip in the file, email it over, or it's actually in the, I don't know, the harmony, you know, it's just like baked into the fucking timeline. It's just rotoscope this, you know. But I think all of that aside, like, Batman Mask of the Phantasm holds a soft spot in my heart, and I enjoyed seeing it in a cinema, and I hope Kev did too.
Yes, it was a lot of fun.
I did think it was funny because at one point Kev leaned over to me and went, "Is that guy or is that this guy?" And it was like Sal Valestro was the gangster, and he's the only one that looks really old and decrepit after the period of time that passes. And it occurred to me while I was watching it why that happened. And did it occur to you, Kevin, at all?
Well, they all got older, obviously, or aged.
He's the only character that smokes. He's the only character that smokes, and it's used for like villainous effect, like he blows smoke in people's faces.
Yeah.
And then 10 years later, he's got an air canister, and he's wheezy, and looks 25 years older than everyone else.
Yeah. But I liked it, and the twist still got me. I kind of forgot about that.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
The Phantasm character was really nicely. I loved it. I thought it was a nice piece of design, that hook and that mask.
Yeah, it was always really cool looking. It's still really cool.
And
the toy for it was really cool as well. You could take the helmet on and off, and it was very, very well made, really well designed, like really good representation of what you get on screen. You know, it was a great toy.
That was so funny, Brian, that you said that, because I was thinking of the toy when I was watching the movie. I was like, that toy was cool.
Was great. It was a great toy.
And they really, like, you can see, like, it's the kind of the beginnings of a thought process of like sharpening up the character design going into the Batman and the New Adventures of Batman or Robin or whatever they called it when they came back, you know, and they tightened up and angularized everybody a bit more and further established that world.
I just kind of forgot that the Mask of the Phantasm is also kind of like a bit of a low-key joke origin story.
I like the like, we went, and the reason it was screening was as a sort of tribute or a memorial for Kevin Conroy.
Yeah.
And I think it's worth, like, I don't know if you noticed the voice play stuff, that like when he's Bruce, he sounds different to when he's
Batman.
So good. Yeah.
He's
the best.
Like, he's the best. He honestly was. He really was. And it's maybe kind of cliched now, but I remember playing Arkham Asylum, which wasn't that, I mean, it was a while back, but wasn't that long ago, you know? And it was just so satisfying, especially kind of, did that come out around 2011, thereabouts?
No, Arkham Asylum came out, it would have been... It
was a bit earlier, 2009.
2009, 2010, because I played that in that zone.
Yeah, so, and that was, let's say that was 2009, The Dark Knight was 2008. So we've got a Batman on screen who's doing this, you know? And then cut to Conroy, who's so great at doing Wayne. He's always got the same richness in his voice, but it's much, much higher. And he does this, I don't know how he does it. He's got this like growl without it being this forced thing. It's just, he was incredible. He was absolutely amazing.
I know.
He was definitive. Like, I think it's very easy, unless you're listening closely, I think it's very easy to kind of miss how much work, because he even talked, I remember watching a lot of interviews with him at the time about like how he does it, and he said it's quite demanding on his voice, like the stuff he has to do, but I think it's kind of, like I said, unless you're paying attention, maybe easy to
miss the subtleties going on.
And just how much is going into it, you know. He was absolutely incredible.
But there's a moment in it as well, because like the voice he does as Bruce is different than the voice he does as Batman, is different than the voice he does as young Bruce. Like there's a moment in it where, you know, I think his cowl comes off and he's talking to or he. It's just a moment where he switches his intent. He's not wearing the Batman costume, but I notice he's using Batman's voice. You know, the Playboy profile is gone. It's business time. You know, like we're talking about your father and the crimes and what I'm going to do and the vow I've taken. But it's like, you know, he has switched to Batman voice, you know, and it's great. It's great. You know, it's easy. It was such a light popcorn film in many ways. And like at 90 minutes or under 90 minutes, it kind of flew by, to forget the fact that we went there because, you know, Kevin Conroy passed away and this was the memorial. And it was great. He did a great job. And Hamill's Joker was top notch there as well. Like if you go back and watch the animated series, like they refined this in the first few episodes. The first time the Joker appears, it is Looney Tunes territory. Like the shots are really basic, and like I think there's one where he's
noticed
like
that when I
following
was
this guy
watching
home.
The Justice League and Justice League Unlimited, even like the few times he pops up in that, just to see there is quite a change from, because Justice League
How rubbery
would have been, I don't know when, but anyway, point being that there was years
05,
between
06,
it, and there's a version like you can hear Hamill doing it in your head, and it always sounds right. But then when you go back to like earlier versions of the same person doing it, like he did kind of go through. Yeah, you know, he iterated.
They tightened it up, yeah. And they had to. Like again, it has been kind of magical to go back and watch. Yeah, go watch the first episode of Batman the Animated Series. You know, you can see, even though they're spending a fortune on this, you can see like, okay, let's just hold this shot with one drawing and it's soft, and you know what I mean. It's very animatory. You know, like watching Phantasm, I've watched it with animator brain going, I would never animate this scene on the courtroom steps like this. I would have coming out of college because every line needs performance. But now I'm like, nobody does that. Everybody just stands still and maybe a little head move. And this is how you do, like, this is how normal people talk, you know? There's so much animating happening for the sake of animating. And
that is like,
you know,
that is a huge difference between, you know, anime and kind of, I know a lot of it was animated in Japan, but the direction was different. But that is something you notice with animation from, let's say, 80s and 90s versus Japanese animation from the same period. You know, they're quite happy to hold stuff, and it's much. It gets more dynamic when it needs to be, but in quieter moments, it's much stiller. Whereas the kind of Western thing, whether it was Salt and Bluth or Disney or Warner's, it's very.
If it's not moving, there's no value.
Yeah.
So there is a bit of that going on where it's like, guys, just hold fucking
chill
still
out
and talk. Like,
there is a zine talk and a zine market. The talk is sold out. The market is from 11 to 4. So I may go check that out.
Do a little stroll by.
Okay, I might text you, Brian, the things I'm looking for.
Do.
And do you have Revolut? No.
I do.
Oh, I'll Revolut you.
Cool.
Cool. Yeah, let me know.
Yep. Text me and I'll send you my hat, and if I find the stuff.
Yeah, I think what do you call it? Well, I think if I need your number, I can just send this, or have your number, I can just send you stuff. But yeah, I'll send you, man. It's really easy, and you can check out his stuff. Anyways, it's really good. The guy is Aaron Lotzi, and he has a cool graphic novel called Blaze Beyond the Pale. Check it out.
Will do. Major difference. I wish you could hear it.
Yeah, it is funny that like the only thing you have to do with that microphone is point it at you and then not touch the thing it's supported by. You know, if you run your fingers or drag a cup across the table, the vibration goes up through it and we hear. But it makes a big difference.
Give us a big slurp into the mic there, Kev. Yeah, big slurp. No, real one through the cup. Actually slurp. But point your face at the mic. Oh, beautiful. Beautiful.
Oh God, I actually choked on that.
I guess to try and make it a bit Christmas episode-y, I watched Spirited, which I did send you the link, Kev, and
yes.
I the link to Apple TV.
Yes,
And,
I revoluted you some money towards that Apple TV subscription you have.
subscription that that you subscribed to.
Yeah, so I wasn't able to watch it last night, so I resubscribe tonight and I'll watch it tonight, I guess.
You should.
Or tomorrow night.
I was fully prepared to think this is a big piece of dog shit, and I had so much fun.
I can't
watching it.
wait. Yeah.
I had so much fun. I think Ryan Reynolds spending a lot of time around Hugh Jackman is kind of like, I guess it's the costume as well.
Will Ferrell's very musical too. Let's not forget.
I mean, let's not forget.
You'd forgotten, hadn't you?
I had not forgotten. How could I forget? It's a fun take on the Christmas Carol thing without just doing straight Ebenezer Scrooge. They're kind of aware of the fact that it's Scrooge-ish. It's got a bit of the kind of Santa Claus, kind of like this is an organization doing a thing rather than like supernatural ghosts from nowhere. I was kind of happy. Like, so many musicals just feel bad. I don't know how to describe it. Having grown up watching musicals from the 40s and the 50s and whatever, when they were doing them all the fucking time, they just have this way to them where it's like, this feels right. And so many musicals since have been just, people are trying to do things for film, or people are, doing versions of a musical. And like, even The Greatest Showman, I think I've said to you guys before, I know that movie made a fucking fortune and the album was one of the most played things of all goddamn time, and I hate that kind of worked for them, because they spent years writing that album with X amount of fucking songwriters, and I feel like they just decided this is the BPM that equals a hit, and they just made it for every song, and they're all at like, they just all feel at this same level to me, to the point that it just feels like white noise, and I don't like any of them. Not really. Like, I can listen to one of them because they're all earwormy, but when I try and watch the whole musical, it's like, I don't care about any of these characters. The choreography is over the fucking top. The cameras are always moving as well. There's loads of CG. And the lyrics are kind of almost indecipherable because there's so much production going on, at least to my ear, my old man ear that wants clarity of like audio, I guess. But this is not that. The choreography and the camera work is so clean and just like readable, and the lyrics are just there. The musical performances, they're not natural singers. Like, when you hire a Broadway person to sing a song, it's very different than getting a Ryan Reynolds to sing it. He gets through it and he does great. But I had so much fun watching it because it's so, like, I think I was talking to Kat, and I was just like, it feels like they finally remembered how to do these things, or they got somebody that knows how to do these things. It was great. I had a lot of fun.
Who directed it? I don't know.
So Aiden's allowed to talk and hit off his mic constantly, but I'm not allowed to move.
Kevin had a pencil and a piece of paper, and he was keeping tab of every single one there.
Yes.
Screenplay by Sean Anders. Sorry, directed by Sean Anders.
Did you draw that just now, Kev?
Pardon?
Did you draw that just now?
Yes. His name is Turnip Head.
See a reflection of your current mood, mental state.
Is that directed at me?
No.
Am I the turnip head?
No, Turnip Head is his own person. And he's just not happy with existing.
For the listener, Kevin has drawn a turnip. A little speech bubble beside him, and it says, "Kill me."
Yep.
So, here's what's frustrating about having just praised that movie so much. And no, it's not frustrating. If the guy did a good job, he did a good job. From the director of Adam Sandler's That's My Boy, Horrible Bosses 2, Daddy's Home 2, and Instant Family, we have Spirited.
You should cut all that. That entire section.
Everything I said about everything about Spirited.
Yeah. Your credibility is shot.
Just based on the filmography of the director?
Hang on. Go through those movies again, each one, from the top.
Okay, we'll go back to his very first film, Never Been Thawed. I don't know what that is.
Never seen it. Next.
Sex Drive. It's the guy in the donut suit.
I did seen it. I have seen it. Sorry.
Adam Sandler's That's My Boy.
Excellent. Go on.
Horrible Bosses 2.
Brilliant. Go on.
Daddy's Home.
Yeah, excellent.
Daddy's Home 2.
Can you believe it? Even better than the first one. Go on.
Instant Family.
Loved it. Mark Wahlberg's dream. Yeah, excellent. Good. Good.
Spirited.
Can't wait to watch it.
Turns out all this time he was a frustrated musical director.
Fair. Could be. You know,
I, honest to God, might go downstairs with my iPad and draw and put Spirited on the telly again.
it is Christmas. You're allowed.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I have to stay in tonight.
Did ye get a chance to watch the link I sent you just this morning?
What was it, Brian?
Was that
Phil
all those...
Hartman doing his
I didn't-
SNL audition?
I didn't get to see it. No.
Very good.
Okay.
Very, very good.
I think I saw that. I think I saw it years ago. Like, does he pull out the hat at one point and
At the very start.
kind of
yeah.
does a... Yeah, I have seen it. It's great.
So good. I think the best part is kind of in the middle. He does an impression of a German stand-up comedian doing impressions of American actors. So it's him doing an impression of a German doing an impression of American actors, and
Brilliant.
he's doing Jack Nicholson as a German doing Jack.
I think that's one of the like cool things about SNL that I'd love more access to, is they film all those auditions.
Yeah.
Like I think there's a Will Ferrell audition video as well. Like they film everybody's auditions. Now whether or not they hang on to everybody's, they might just hang on to the ones that make the show. But like there's a chunk of Will Ferrell's one where he was just like, "This is my impression of my cat," and he just lies on the floor like playing with dust for 2 minutes, just like.
God, improv. It's a.
And it's so
an acquired
fucking funny.
taste.
It's so silly.
Lovitz joins him at the end, and it's funny to see them do. You can see just it's funny to see them kind of both so young, and you can just see their improv. You know, their tendency and their training kind of kick in. Where he's like, what we do, what about the? And he's like, oh yeah. They're kind of just like riffing off each other, just that right. But check that out. It's very good.
I still I said this before. I would love one of the streaming services to pick up 40 years worth of SNL and just let me watch things. You know what I mean? Let me just watch my way through the whole.
Netflix
show.
did have a ton of it.
They did
A couple
They
of years
had a
ago.
ton of
They
it.
had
At least the early 90s.
Yeah,
I was watching
80s and 90s for sure. Yeah.
I was doing a little like I wasn't doing it consciously. I was just on my own watching SNL and felt I needed to shout things at the world. But I was kind of live tweeting it to, like, watching episodes from the late 90s, going, "Oh my god, here's the first, like, I don't know, like it's like Cameron Diaz, brand new actor. You know what I mean? Like she's been in one movie and now she's on SNL. You know, like because that's kind of like the path for a lot of performers as well. It's like part of building the hype and building the brand, get them on." Yeah, I don't know. I love that stuff. I'm going to take it easy this weekend. I don't know about you boys. I went to some version of something or other, like not necessarily parties, but it meant I had to go into town and come home every night this week. Oof. And I am tired. And the majority of those things involve me going, like, even when we went to see Batman, I like had a half hour to kill, so I popped into a pub and I was like, had a gin and tonic, and I was like, I've had a drink every night this week. I need to not do that.
Yeah, but you're out.
I am. When you're it's out. Not the worst. I'm not having 8 drinks. I had a drink, but like there's part of me that's like, there's part of my puritanical upbringing that's like, keep that shit for a night out rather than something you just do every night. You know what I mean? I was at the animation Creative Christmas is what they call it. The animation, the sort of industry Christmas party last night it was in the Workman's, which was a bit weird. Because I've never been to like an event in the Workman's, and they brought food out as well, and I was like, there's food in the Workman's? That's got to be a health violation.
Well, technically they have Wow Burger for years.
Oh, that's true. That's upstairs in the smoking area. No, they brought the food in from Bison Bar.
Yeah, fair.
Set up a table, and to be fair, it was very good. A couple of platters of chips and onion rings.
Great.
And
love that stuff, man.
Then they brought out these sort of vegan falafel wraps and vegetarian tofu burger things. Delicious. And then they brought out like this big plate of ribs. I was like, I don't want to be standing in the Workman's with like a glass in one hand trying to eat a rib standing. I was like,
I hate messy
these
food.
little burgers.
Can't do it.
Yeah, it's not for me.
Don't like wings.
I'm
Don't
trying
like
to do
ribs.
this.
Yeah,
Love wings,
Yeah,
love
do it.
ribs. I love
hate
it.
Can't do it.
Yeah, just don't.
That's me, obviously.
Yeah, no fair.
If you like that stuff,
I'm with you.
go for it.
I don't really like. I
can't do
don't
it.
like messy. Yeah, I don't like messy food either. However, like there is just food that you're meant to eat with your fingers, and you just have to excuse yourself when you eat them. And chicken wings is one of those foods. Like there's foods that you have to eat with your fingers. End of story. Pizza is a food you eat with your fingers. Chicken wings, food you eat with your fingers.
Yeah,
There's
Considerably less
food that is only
messy.
manageable with your hands, and as a result, I don't eat those foods. I'll eat a pizza, but I'm
there's not enough
them
eating in
for the
wings
most
as well.
part.
There's not enough good eating
Yeah.
in wings or ribs.
I like wings.
I have had one or two good ribs where there's like a lot of meat on it, but wings, nah. Like I'm fine. I'm pulling gristle like out of my mouth off the bones.
I can
and
just.
stuff
I can
fuck
go like this.
that.
I can literally go. I eat everything. I leave a clean bone.
Yeah, it's not for me.
Dum, da, dum, da, 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 da.